You're listening to Civic Media. You can tune into any of our live shows on any radio station across the state with the Civic Media app. Find us in your phone's app store and listen anytime, anywhere. This is your WLAK Daily News Roundup for Lake Air, 107.5 FM and 1260 AM in Amory.
For WLAK News, I'm James Kelly. Leadership Washburn County is now accepting applications for their 2025-2026 program. Anyone who works in the county and is interested in the professional and personal development program is welcome to apply. The application can be filled out online and the organization will accept them until August 11th. Program participants will meet once per month from September to May to develop their leadership skills and work to address issues facing the region. The program will cover topics like local healthcare and economic issues taught by local community and business leaders. Ashland law enforcement authorities say they'll be increasing patrols and surveillance at Central Rail Yard Park after a child discovered used needles and unsanitary conditions in the bathroom this week. According to city officials, the incident occurred during a baseball game on Tuesday. The bathroom was closed off to be cleaned up and to have the hazardous materials removed. Officials say they want the park to remain safe and a welcoming place for all families, and if anyone encounters unsafe conditions in a city park, they should report it immediately. The Wisconsin Department of Transportation is asking for input from residents on their 2025 Americans with Disabilities Act transition plan. According to a press release, the plan is meant to guide the Department of Transportation's efforts to improve accessibility on the state's highway system, like upgrades to roadside facilities and public rights-of-way to make it easier for residents with disabilities to travel. The plan can be reviewed on the Wisconsin Department of Transportation website, and public comments will be accepted until the end of the month. The American Red Cross is highlighting a number of blood donation events in the northwest Wisconsin region over the next few weeks. Organization officials say keeping up with donation needs is especially difficult during the summer months. They say hospitals across the country are specifically in need of more blood platelets and type O blood during this time of year, but donations of all kinds are needed as well. The American Red Cross is highlighting a number of blood drive events in Barron and Chetek throughout the month of August. The Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources is now accepting applications for its 2025 Recycling Excellence Awards. The awards are meant to highlight organizations like community groups, nonprofits, schools, and businesses that go above and beyond with innovative recycling efforts. There are 4 categories of awards, including for specific recycling projects and initiatives, overall recycling programs, innovations in recycling efforts, and special recycling events. The agency will be accepting nominations for the awards until September 15th. The Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources is inviting residents to participate in Aquatic Invasive Species Snapshot Day next week. The event is part of a statewide effort by the agency to raise awareness about the dangers that aquatic invasive species pose to the state's waterways. Volunteers will gather at training sites across the state next Saturday to learn how to locate and identify the invasive species and catalog the findings to help the agency track their spread. Residents interested in participating in the event must register online by next Friday. The Rice Lake First United Methodist Church's Missions Committee is inviting area families in need to apply for financial assistance with back-to-school supplies. The organization is hosting its 22nd annual Paste Paper Pencils project, which provides area families with vouchers that can be used for school supplies and clothing. The committee will also host a golf tournament fundraiser on Sunday afternoon to support the program. Interested families can submit an application with their information, the age of their children, and the reason they need the assistance. The Town of Hayward Board of Supervisors will hold a public hearing to discuss the future of its police department on August 12th at 5 p.m. at the Town Hall before their usual monthly meeting. Officials say the decision revolves around weighing the cost of a police department and the needs of the community. Some argue the size of the town would make it difficult for just one officer to cover, and they don't need a full-time officer to enforce ordinances. Others argue cost should not be a factor because not having adequate police coverage would be a mistake. A proposed bill in the Wisconsin state legislature would give adults who were adopted access to their original and unredacted birth certificates. The legislation was introduced by State Senator Andre Jacques and State Representative Paul Tittle. They say the purpose of the bill is to give adoptees access to information about their own identities as well as potential health information that could affect them. Only a small percentage of adoptions are closed, but those closed files prevent the adoptees from accessing their original unredacted birth certificate under state law. Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers is again warning about the dangers of federal cuts to programs that support the forestry industry. In a second letter to Brooke Rollins, Secretary of the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Governor Evers again urged the agency to prevent funding and staffing cuts that could impair programs like ones meant to help prevent wildfires. Other state officials have also raised concerns about the federal cuts affecting the level of coordination between states when dealing with halting the spread of an invasive species like the emerald ash borer. For WLAK News, I'm James Kelly.
The Brewers in D.C. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. Baseball, the Brewers open a 3-game road trip this weekend against the Nationals. The crew making moves before the trade deadline, adding an outfielder, Brandon Lockridge from the Padres. In exchange, they traded lefty Nestor Cortez and an infielder prospect. The Brewers also traded for a pair of pitchers from Arizona, right-hander Shelby Miller and lefty Jordan Montgomery for a player to be named later. Both of those pitchers currently on the injured list, Montgomery out for the year. NFL, the Packers with another practice in pads, and then tomorrow night's family night inside Lambeau Field. Matt LaFleur on his strict rules regarding fights on the field.
I just think it's always important to remember that if you do anything in a game, you're going to get penalized for it, and it's going to hurt the team. So I think it's important that you keep your composure in practice as well and do all the little things the right way so that if something transpires in a game that you don't react the wrong way.
That's the Packers' Matt LaFleur with Sports on Mike Clemens.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. Getting fired from any job is never easy, but when you're an actor on a big show, it's more public and can mess with an actor's psyche and confidence. Even actors with a track record and solid resume are not immune from being launched from a project. Actor Rupert Everett told Vanity Fair he was fired without explanation and will not be in season 5 of Emily in Paris. The Netflix show contradicted Everett, saying he was not exactly fired, but was hired as a guest star and was never promised another season. Either way, the My Best Friend's Wedding actor still thought he had a job and says he spent 2 weeks in bed depressed. He might not have to wait long for his phone to ring, though, as fellow My Best Friend's Wedding alum Dermot Mulrooney recently told the New York Post that there are rumors floating that there could be a sequel to the Julia Roberts film in the near future. I don't know about that. Might be too soon. The Law & Order franchise has been teasing its viewers for years regarding a romance between detectives Olivia Benson and Elliot Stabler, played respectively by Mariska Hargitay and Christopher Maloney. Fans on social media have been asking when it will happen. Maloney recently told the New York Post he's been trying to get them to hook up for a long time. Hargitay says she is enjoying the flirt game and is keeping an open mind about the situation. Maloney currently stars in Law & Order Organized Crime, and Hargitay is in her I Lost Count season of Law & Order SVU. DC Studios may have made a lot of money over the years, but they haven't had a film that's reached the $300 million plateau domestically since 2022. Thanks to James Gunn's Superman just crossed the mark. This is the 9th DC movie to reach $300 million here in the U.S. The last DC film to hit that mark was The Batman 3 years ago. I'm sure DC would like even more cha-ching, so be sure to check out Superman, which is still in theaters. When it comes to TV or movies, there is nothing like momentum. The Gilded Age is currently in its 3rd season, and all arrows are pointing up. The show is tracking 25% more than its previous season, and still has 2 episodes left of season 3. HBO has already renewed the show for a 4th season. Social media chatter is up 60%, and Rotten Tomatoes has season 3 at 95% fresh. If all that weren't enough, last week's episode reached a series high in viewers at 4.5 million in the first 3 days of release. Looks like we have no excuse now not to check it out. If you're a fan of the show Luther with Idris Elba or the original version of The Office with Ricky Gervais, you'll have another option for viewing. HBO and BritBox, which specializes in UK mysteries, comedies, and dramas, has struck a deal where HBO will stream 15 BritBox shows during the months of August and September. The goal of both companies: get so many viewers they can charge as much as Netflix. For more showbiz fun, tune into Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
We are going to have more of that smoky haze from those Canadian wildfires today. Otherwise, mostly sunny. We'll get to the mid to upper 70s for a high today. Tonight, mostly clear. We'll drop down to around 53. Tomorrow, more sunshine with a high right around 79. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Currently, it's 54.
That's your WLAK Daily News Roundup from Civic Media. Subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you find your podcasts. Find more news at lakeair.radio. The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.